right, again, page 356, starting section 6, 7. Skip several sections in there. 6, 7, and 6, 3 are pretty much the same thing. That's why I wanted to skip ahead to that. There will be a couple things I'll have to tell you as we go that we would have learned in those other sections. And we'll probably go back to those sections at some point. But again, since they were very closely related, I wanted to do them at the same time, so that would help you guys out. One difference, though, is just another thing that we use this synthetic division for. That is called synthetic substitution. The process is the same. The part that is your answer is different. You have seen problems that look like this one. F of x equals 3x to the fourth minus 2x cubed. Plus x squared minus 2. And they tell you then to find f of 4. I've done problems like that many times before. So what is that telling you to do there? Plug the 4 for all the x's. Plug the 4 in for all the x's. So you would write f of 4 equals 3 times 4 to the fourth minus 2 times 4 to the third plus 4 squared minus 2, and then solve that out. I would not type that all in at the same time. Type it in separate. What is 4 to the fourth? So this would be a good time to get your calculators opened up, turn them on, and type in 4 times 3 or not. So then times 3 is 768, and then 4 to the third times 2, 128. What do you get? For 4 to the third times 2. So yeah. And then plus 16 minus 2. So what do we get for the final answer there? What? 654. Okay, this, what you just did right there, that is direct substitution. That's nothing new. You've done that before, direct substitution. So what we're covering now is synthetic substitution. And you do it just like we did synthetic division. So what do you think would go in that box? 4. When we did division with the factors, we had to change that sign. If you're plugging in, though, if they want to know f of 4, that's what goes in the box there. Are we missing any terms here? We got 4, 3, 2. We're missing the 1, and we have the 9. So we have 3, -2, 1, 0, and -2. Skip a line, draw a line. Bring down the 3. 12, add down. What? 10 times 4. 40. Add down. 44 times 4. 164. Add down. 164 times 4. 656. Add down. And we get 654. That is synthetic substitution. On your homework, some problems will ask for direct, some problems will ask for synthetic. You must know the difference between the two and use the one they're asking for. I can say in the 2 classes so far, probably 25 students in total have read the first two problems and started doing direct substitution when it clearly says on problems 1 and 2, use synthetic substitution. So make sure you follow the directions on whichever one of those it's asking for. But also, if it just wants you to do one of the other substitutions, this is your answer. Just whatever that number is, that's your answer. You don't have to worry about your depressed equation and writing all that stuff down. Again, I said that this morning, and some people were still trying to do that. You're just adding work for yourself. This is all I care about if we're doing synthetic substitution. Other part for today, show that x minus 3 is a factor of x to the third plus 4x squared minus 15x minus 18. Then find the other factors. How many other factors do you think there are? No idea, right? Could be a dozen, for all you know. But it tells us to show that x minus 3 is one of the factors of this polynomial, and then to find the other factors. So we will do some investigating. Last chapter, all of the and you can write this down or not, doesn't really matter to me, but all of the problems that we did last chapter looked like this, right? Or similar, something like that. What's the highest degree that you see up there, the highest exponent? So the highest exponent is what? 2. What was the maximum number of times a parabola could cross the axis? Or what were the possible times? It could 2, 1, or none. But the maximum amount that it could possibly cross was 2. So do you think there's something to that? There is. Whatever your highest exponent is, in this case, a 3, what's the maximum number that this could possibly cross? 3 times. It have to cross 3 times. But that's the most it could cross. So, if it says find the other factors, how many at most would you have to find?
3.
The other factors. 2, because they're telling you what one of them is. So that's what that means when I ask you to find the other factors. So if we started with x to the 5th here, how many other ones would we have to find? 4 of them, possible. No more than that. So, what would we put in here, do you think?
3.
Positive 3. They're telling us that one of the factors is x minus 3, so we put positive 3 in there. Are we missing any terms? No, we have 3, 2, 1, none. So 1, 4, negative 15, and negative 18. Skip a line, draw a line. 7 times 3, 21, add down. 6 times 3, add down. What did I tell you that meant last time? Exactly what they said first hour. Yes, obviously 0 means there is no remainder. What does that mean? It means it is one of the places that it crosses the x-axis. So if you get 0, and you will, anytime it says to show that that's a factor, this is how you show it right here, because you synthetic divide by it and it gives you a 0. Since it does, you have just shown that 3 is a 0 and that x minus 3 is a factor of that polynomial. That's how you show that. So you have to get 0 here. If it's telling you to do this, show that's a factor, and you don't get 0, you've done something wrong with your multiplication or addition in there, because you will get 0 if it tells you to show that. So we started with a cubic function, or x to the third. Our depressed equation, this would be x squared. So we have 1x squared plus 7x plus 6. That's what we are left with. So how many other factors do we have to find? 2 at most. And you will factor this then, because that's why we did all that in chapter 5, to figure out what the other 2 factors are. Some of you know how to factor. So we put our x's in. Our signs will be both plus factors of 6 that add up to 7. 6 and 1. As simple as that, you have the other 2 factors. It is asking for factors, not zeros. So what other methods do we have to solve this quadratic from chapter 5? Some people were kind of on it. We had 4 methods. What were they? One of them was factoring. That's what I just did. Graphing, see where they cross. What? Completing the square. And most important, probably, what? Quadratic formula. That should be the one you say right off the bat. 4 methods. So you can use any of those methods. What most people did, and is totally fine to do, is graph it in your calculator, see where it crosses, and those will be your answers. But here's the trick, and here's what you really need to pay attention to. If that's the method, then your calculator will tell you that x equals -6 and -1. It's giving you the zeros, the actual points where it's crossing. We don't want the zeros. We want the factors. So all you have to do in this case is change that sign, make it x plus 6 and x plus 1. So if that's the method you choose to use, make sure you turn them into factors for your final answer. Should look like that. If you do factoring right out of the chute, then you don't have to worry about that. This is obviously the quickest way, but not all of you mastered that when we did it, so you would have to do that. Same way if you do quadratic formula, you're going to do all of your working, and it's going to end up telling you again x equals -6 and -1, and you'll write your answers as factors. Change those signs. So let's do one more of those and get on going. So this time we're showing that x plus 3 is a factor of x cubed plus 6x squared minus x minus 30. And we're finding the other factors. So what goes in the box? -3. Now what if this was 2x plus 3? That was the first factor. It's a -3 hash. You got to set that equal to 0. Several people didn't know that on their homework. So x equals -3 hash. That's what you would put in the box on that case. So -3 goes here. Are we missing any terms? No. So we have 1, 6, -1, -30. And draw a line, go down, add down, 3 times -3, -10 times -3. So we did in fact show that is one of the factors. So then we have x squared plus 3x minus 10. And again, we factor. Signs will be plus minus, so factors of 10 with a difference of 3 are 5 and 2, and our middle number is positive, so our bigger factor has to be positive. So x plus 5 and x minus 2 are the other 2 factors for that problem. I will tell you this before I turn you loose for homework. I bet in the 50 minutes in first hour today, I probably corrected 10 students who simply wrote these four numbers down incorrectly and had a mistake. And that's where that comes in. But your best, you would be more ahead to take your time and make sure you write each one of those numbers down correctly, as opposed to doing this whole problem and then me telling you you messed up, it should be negative or positive, and having to erase the whole thing. They would even have this part written correctly, and then they would copy them down here incorrectly. Take your time, save yourself time, to where you don't have to go back and change every other problem. The homework is 1 through 28, all. Last announcement, please listen. We will grade this and 6-3 on Thursday. Both sections on Thursday. Together will be one grade.